Hey guys, it's Rich here from the Rich Mix and on another episode. And I'm really fortunate enough to have Jack with me from Modern Primitive Body Piercing from Wagga. So thanks for coming on, Jack. Really appreciate it, mate.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Yeah, look, well, Jack and I, we've known each other for a while now, and Jack did our course with us with EZE Training. How long ago now, Jack, has been?
2016. I think it
Yeah,
might have been around November 2016, maybe. So a little while
wow.
ago.
So nearly eight
Pretty
years,
pretty
mate.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
8 years
crazy to
ago.
think about, actually. Yeah.
And you were back then, you're probably a real different person, different mindset, you know what I mean?
Oh, totally different. A
Yeah,
much different person. Like I'd already been operating a business, I think, before then. I think I
yeah,
was looking through my Auto Club logbook the other day because mine broke actually, which
yeah,
sucked. But
yeah.
and I seen it was 2015. I put my first ever Auto Club
Cycle through. Yeah,
cycle
awesome.
through. Yeah.
So
So
that
yeah.
so the business is called Modern Primitive Body Piercing. And where
Yes.
so tell us a little bit about your journey from the course to running your business. So you started running the business prior to doing the course, kind of thing?
Well, see, my business was already established in Wagga for a long time.
Yeah,
I'd brought it off someone who'd owned it for
yeah,
forever.
yeah,
So it was already up and running, and I got body piercing lessons by that man just on the premises.
yeah.
And so
Right.
he helped me out a lot as well, starting up the business. So I'd already had a little bit to do with
The
body piercing
experience, hands-on experience, yeah.
yeah, before I'd gone and done a course with EZE Training. It was
Yeah.
more just hands on. There wasn't a lot of theory with him. He was pretty much just like bring someone in and we'll
Yeah,
start
yeah.
piercing straight away. So
But
yeah, it was.
what was that? What made you want to do it? Like back then? What were you?
Um, Look, I always loved tattoos and piercings. The way they
Yeah,
looked on people, the way that people could express themselves with it. I thought it was a really cool way,
yeah,
just a really cool thing to have for
yeah,
yourself with piercings and tattoos. And so I used to get piercings off this man or off
yeah,
this business since I was a young teenager.
yeah,
And he got crook. He got really crook. And he only worked across the road from me from a little cafe out a window that I used to work at. And
yeah,
so I seen one day that he was closing down. And he never
yeah,
mentioned anything about it. And so just talking to him for a few days and thought, you know what, I'd love to pierce. And so I
yeah,
thought, can you teach me how to pierce before you leave?
yeah,
And he was all for it. And then eventually I sort of seen the clientele that he had coming through the doors and the business that he had, and I offered to buy the place off him, and that's how I got
yeah.
into it.
Wow. And here you are now, mate. 8 years later,
I know. I'm very blessed to still have it going,
mate. That's
especially
awesome.
only getting it so young and sort of being a little bit probably irresponsible. I was only 19 when I started, so
So back then, your current partner, you weren't with each other back then? No? Yes?
no, no,
No.
no. She's been with me the majority of the journey, like
Yeah,
most of it. So
yeah,
she's actually a giant big part of why Modern Primitive is today, like what
yeah,
it is,
yeah,
and how many clients I do have. Yeah, she's
yeah.
fantastic.
And that's it. Running your own like special business, you need that support from your partner, especially having a little family, because it is a big juggle half the time with kids and things, you know?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So how many kids? Two kids? Yeah.
Two kids, two little
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah. Just like, oh, well, I've got one crazy boy, mate, which is,
Is
which
he
is,
youngest, oldest,
he's the
middle?
youngest. Yeah. Charlie's 3. He's a bloody
Oh,
maniac, mate.
the
Bloody
youngest are
maniac.
just maniac anyway. Mix a boy with the youngest, they're definitely going to be the most wild for sure.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. How old's the
Yeah,
daughters? 5 and
5 and 2, just
5 and
turned
2.
2.
Okay. Oh, very
Yeah,
similar. I know.
yeah, definitely.
They say terrible twos, but mate, terrible threes, mate. Like that's
Oh,
my God.
terrible twos are just where they start learning everything, and
I
then they
know.
just get better at it.
I get it really yeah, 100%. Little cheeky buggers.
Oh
Um,
my, yeah, my youngest is she's wild,
and
wild, holy dooly.
that's the good thing about running a business. You got that juggle about work with family life and you know what I mean, fit things in because
Definitely,
working a full-time job, it's challenging. It's hard, you know, to do
it
it. So
is.
you really need to have your own business to be able to work that out, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And we're pretty blessed. Like my partner, because of the business,
Yeah,
has been able to spend a lot of time home with my daughters, which she
yeah,
loves, and
yeah,
I think has really benefited them massively as little humans, just to have
yeah,
that time at home with mum for
yeah.
sure.
Oh, that's awesome. So education wise, like even with us and with the previous owner, What was your experience like, even with us with the course and in your influence with your current career path? Did that help you a lot doing the course?
Oh, for sure. I think
Yeah,
one of the biggest things with you guys is to see your passion about body piercing.
yeah,
Like going and learning with you, not that I've gone and learned off anyone else or done any courses with anyone else, but you could see that it wasn't just a money grab for you guys. Like
yeah,
you genuinely wanted to produce good quality body piercers and have them with all like loaded with all the information that they can possibly store in their brain. And it
yeah,
was just a very inviting space and a stress-free space. Yeah. My original trainer, he was fantastic as well. Like
yeah,
he was more so of a just get in and get it done sort of fella. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like just
yeah,
hook
yeah,
in. Like there's not much. You know, first day you said you want to do it. Second day, let's try and line up 10 people to do piercings on. You know what I mean? There
yeah,
wasn't too
yeah,
much
yeah,
easing into it, which I sort of love because you get into that situation. You're either sink or swim. I
yeah,
think when it comes
yeah,
to those sort of intense situations, and
yeah,
so I sort of like that as well. Doing that and then seeing you guys have a
yeah,
completely different approach to the training was fantastic.
yeah.
It was
Oh,
really,
that's
really good
awesome.
and
Uh,
helped me a lot be confident starting off a business.
Especially when you're on your own and you're in the room and something goes on, you're like, oh my God. But you just have
It's,
to go, okay, you got to fake it till you make it. Just be calm, relaxed.
that's right.
And as long as the way you communicate to them is calm and relaxed, everything's sweet, because you know what the end game is.
100%. Yeah, definitely. It was definitely very intimidating the first time I pierced by myself. Like it
Yeah,
was intense. It was like this, you don't have that person looking over your shoulder to tell you if you're doing the right thing or whether
yeah,
you've lined something up properly or this person's anatomy's right. You're sort of then left to your own to try and just dictate what you can and can't do or where you can and can't put this piercing. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
you just
yeah.
yeah, I think it's very intense. Get the
Yeah,
first
because
piercing out of
there's
the way.
I think as you're dealing with all these different crazy personalities and different age groups,
Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
can be quite challenging as well, at
It can
times.
be for sure.
So,
Yeah,
and you're in Wagga, so it's a bit more of a country town. Everyone kind of knows each other as well a little bit,
they do.
and you get good
They do.
recommendations. So, which is awesome. I was only just talking to someone in Griffith the other day, and she was telling me,
Really?
"Oh yeah, I know Jack at Wagga. I actually sent some of my clients to Jack." I said, "Oh, awesome," because she was
Oh,
finding things a few
cool.
little bit tricky, and I said, "You know what? Reach out to Jack." I gave her actually your mobile number, and she's going to
Did
give
you
you a
really?
tickle. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and
Fantastic.
I told her your Insta page as well. I said, just reach out,
Yep.
mate. Jack's easy going. At least if you have any questions, give him a tingle.
Yep. Yep,
So
for sure. Very
no, that's
happy to
awesome.
answer any questions.
Oh, thanks, man. You're a legend. So how are you going, like establishing your brand and like attracting customers? Is it more about just doing a good job, looking after customers come back, or do you have a strategy in place to try to bring more people in?
Look, there's not a strategy in place to try and bring more
Yeah,
people in.
yeah,
For the past probably 3 or 4 years has definitely been the busiest time. I've had like, especially when COVID hit,
yeah,
like there wasn't much advertisement I had to do when that
yeah,
ended. I
yeah,
was just smashed with people.
yeah,
And so having such a huge amount of clients over those years have just sort of it's turned into word of mouth, and I've just always had people coming in
yeah,
and had good recommendations. But probably like back to what else you said, what else you said just before. Um, it's just looking after my clients and making
yeah,
sure that they know that if anything goes wrong or if they have any problems, that I'm only a phone call away, or they can just walk into my shop whenever they want.
yeah,
Like I even tell people, actually, with your advice, please, I would love to see you again in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
yeah,
Just drop your head in, let me have a look at it, and if you've got any
yeah,
questions or have any problems, just make sure that they know that I would love if they did that and not to
yeah.
stay away if they've got any problems.
That's it.
Just creating a good relationship with my
Yeah,
clients because I want my piercings to heal well and I want people to be happy with their piercings, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
that's always worked for me, getting them to say like, yeah, just drop in anytime. I always say, oh, these are my hours. And they love it because it's like an open door policy all the time, and they just go, wow, this is so
definitely.
cool. Where some people, it's more just burn your client like in and out, and forget about them
Yeah,
because they got to do a certain amount of numbers. It's not about
definitely.
numbers, it's just about quality, not quantity. And eventually
Definitely.
they just come back. And so do you do like mail outs to your clients or anything like that, like email and
I
stuff?
don't know. No, I'm not into, I don't have a lot of that sort of stuff set up.
Yeah.
which I probably should. That's a
Yeah.
great thing to do.
Yeah.
And just to keep on top of it and see how everyone's going. Because some people, what I've learned over the years is they'll just let their piercing just turn terrible and just
Yeah.
like wait for a good 3 or 4 months until they come back and say, "Hey, is this going to fall out of my head soon?" And just
Yeah.
I would much rather people come back earlier than that so we can save it. They won't have to take it out. So a mailing out system would probably be
Yeah,
really
well,
good.
we'll talk, and I can help you with that anyway. Because what's a good thing to do is, because over those years since you've started, remember you're getting email addresses on your consent forms all the time, and if you have a
Yeah,
little box saying, "Is it all right if I just send you an email?" Then you have them all on a special database, and then through some of these email like sites, platforms, every week you can just do an email, just hey, touch and base. These are the new little tricks. This is a new stock we've got on board. Here's some helpful hints on aftercare, just little things about about the business. And it's just very
yeah,
casual, not really selling stuff, but just helping them. And they see these emails and it's really good. So when you do eventually have a special, you can just pump it out there and they go, wow, this is so cool. Uh,
yeah. That's
you
that's
can
a
have a
great
half
idea.
price special once every, I don't know, a month or whatever, just one day, half price piercings. And on the quietest day you've got, and all of a sudden you'll be banked up, with people. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I
yeah,
honestly, I've had little thoughts about that. Even just yourself, like I'd love to have just a conversation with you one
yeah,
day, just about improving the business and where I should
yeah,
probably head to the next step, getting into these later years with the business
yeah. Awesome, mate.
for
You know what?
sure.
I'll send you one of the Piercing Profits book out to you. How's that? It's got
Please
all that
do.
stuff on there. It's
Sign.
awesome. I'll sign it for you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
No, awesome, man. So tell us about a typical day at the business at Modern Primitive Body Piercing. What's your
I've
typical
got
day?
such a I've got such a chilled sort of like, 'cause since I work for myself and I only work there, I've got
Yeah,
such a chilled sort of start of the day.
yeah,
It's sort of good. Like but before my daughter started primary school, I'd be staying back a little bit later or trying to squeeze cleaning into the last sort of hours of the day.
yeah,
But now she's started super early. I don't start till 10 o'clock every day, and we've got to drop her to school by 8:45. So I
yeah,
get there really early, and I just clean everything, make sure
yeah,
everything's good. I'm all stocked up with jewelry, equipment,
yeah,
um, sort my consent forms out, and then I just hang out, man, until I get my people in. So my
yeah,
busiest days, my busiest days, I can definitely be doing anywhere from like 15 to 25 piercings a day,
yeah. Awesome.
um, which is pretty busy for
Oh,
me. I
very
think,
busy, man.
especially in a little place like Wagga Wagga.
Yeah,
I've got my little, I'm in an arcade. And
yeah.
so, like, my arcade only has 3 people working in there at the moment.
Okay,
There's a
that's
lot of
awesome.
shops vacant, but
Yeah,
we're very close. We're very
yeah,
close. And so we get around and see, like, just talk to each other for a little bit and get updated. And
yeah.
we've actually got a tattooist moving in directly next door to me, which
Wow,
I'm
that's awesome.
so excited for.
Yeah,
Like,
that's really good.
it's just going to bring a new bunch of clients into that little arcade,
Definitely.
and especially any shop would have been nice, but
Yeah,
to have it being a tattooist and quite a reputable tattooist who's been in
yeah,
Wagga for a long time, it's
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh,
And
that's
so
awesome.
the day in Modern Primitive is just me cleaning,
Yeah.
hanging out, and piercing pretty much.
And
There's
what
not too
days you
much.
working? Tuesday to Saturday?
Tuesday to Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So
Tuesday to
Sunday,
Saturday.
Monday off. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
I've always been up and down about working
Yeah,
Mondays.
yeah,
Like it could be beneficial to me
yeah,
maybe. But
yeah,
I really enjoy having a Monday off with my
yeah,
kids.
man. Look, if people want you, they'll come. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because you in your head
That's
you think,
right.
oh, I could open up, and then you're like, oh, only just like 3 days I'm busy. But you need your time out. You need jack time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Especially with an industry like body piercing or tattooing, I guess
yeah,
they get pretty closely tied in together.
yeah,
I don't think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but no matter how long you've been doing it for, it can be quite a stressful environment when
oh
it
yeah,
comes to
100%.
different people, different anatomies, and dealing with a lot of panic attacks. Like
Yeah,
in that sort of industry, you see a lot of people freaking out, and like it does get way easier as you do it for
yeah,
longer. But
yeah.
it's still like without you even thinking about it, I think it takes a toll on your mental
Definitely,
health.
100%, and it's exhausting. Like we say, it's actually quite
Mm,
exhausting because you're really putting yourself 150% out there all the time on the go.
all the time,
So as soon as someone's walking the door, you're putting your heart and soul into it. So
definitely.
you're not just being half-assed; you're really putting it. So when everyone leaves, you're like, Oh my God, that was like such a hectic day. I just come
I
in,
know,
need
just
a
a
cup
big
of
breath
tea,
out.
you know,
Yeah,
couple of
definitely.
Bobos. Yeah, but yeah, you really need to chill out because it is exhausting. I know that, you know, even through training, um,
Yeah, man, of
with people,
course.
you're kind of always switched on all the time. So you really need, definitely need that Sunday, you need that family time, you need that Monday to reset for yourself so you can be switched on again the next day, you know, to get cracking
Definitely, yeah.
tomorrow.
You need a bit of chill time, and
Yeah.
the concentration too. Like the
Yeah.
concentration on getting these piercings correct all the time
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it can be intense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you get that confidence, especially maybe when you're first starting and you're like, I'm going to breeze through this. That's when you will make mistakes. When
That's
you
it.
start to
Yeah.
fall off the concentration a little bit and try
Yeah.
and treat it like a just a normal job.
Yeah.
It's yeah, that's when it happens.
Yeah, because only one little mistake in a little country town, doesn't matter where you are, mate, people talk about it.
That's exactly
And that's
right.
why I always say, even with aftercare, really hammer them with it. Doesn't matter if they say, oh, I've already had piercing before. Who cares? Hammer them because
Yeah,
when you don't, they will tell if something goes bad, they'll blame you anyway, even though it's their
yep,
fault, you know, the buffet.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, 100%.
So nah, awesome. So is there any like what's popular at the moment? What have you been doing a lot of, you reckon, piercing wise?
Mate, oh, my little baby's awake. Um, I think the most popular thing with me and has been for a long time, uh, different ear cartilage
Yeah.
arrangements, like all sorts of ear cartilages, which
Yeah.
I love doing. It's
Yeah.
it's something that is like really satisfying to me to see ear cartilage piercings come together,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
having too much, not having too little, or like I think it's just such a cool little area to pierce on your body. It's almost like obviously they're there to hear, but there's so many different little pieces of your ear cartilage that you can pierce. I think it's
That's
really
it.
really fun too. But that's probably what the most popular thing is for me. I've moved away a little bit, not purposely, but moved away a little bit from like your more intense sort of piercings. Not that I do anything
Yeah.
too hectic, you know, like
Yeah.
but yeah, I've moved away a little bit from that. And it's not as popular as it used to
Yeah.
be. And
Yeah.
so, well, for me personally, anyway, I think that the having being in a little country town, that everyone sort of follows what each other does, and so there's
Yeah.
not
That's it.
too
It
much.
is.
There's still the odd few that come in and get the different bits and pieces, but
Yeah.
the ear cartilages for me is the trend at the moment in
Yeah.
Wagga
Because
Wagga.
that ear curation where they because like back in the day.
Creation, that's what I was thinking
Yeah,
of.
you
That's
know
the
what they're
word.
doing? They're always getting like, you know, you talk to any young girl, you know, even my wife, back in the day, they'll always pierce right on the edge of, you know,
Yes.
of the lip of your ear. And they'll say, oh, my friend's had this. I said, mate, you realize doing it there, it's never going to heal. You can sleep on it, get holes on
No.
it. It's the worst.
Oh,
Let's do it
it's a
inside
shocker.
here. And then when you do upper ear cartilage or inside the conch, or you can do two in a conch, it's awesome because you do something that really looks cool and it's kind of safe in there. You know, it's actually
Definitely.
really well and it's rock solid. And
100%.
yeah, I'm the same. I love ear cartilage because it is a long term, you know, piercing that they'll have forever. It's not a gimmick piercing, you know,
No,
and it
no.
heals really well.
That's a good point actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a long term thing to people because they're also as much as they look awesome, they're subtle. They're not
yeah,
something that's going to be intense. And when you do
yeah,
change a style of yourself, especially getting piercings when you're young and
yeah,
going into getting older,
yeah.
there's something that you can always keep in,
Always
change the
keep.
jewelry in, and yeah, they're
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, the helix, like the amount of times I tell my clients, like, mate, the helix is going to be one of the hardest piercings to heal on the body. Like it
mate,
has to be.
never heal. And all the kids love it. They're like, oh, my
They
friend's
love
got
them.
this. And I said, oh, when's the last time? Do you feel like it's healed it? No, it hasn't healed. I said, it's been 2 years and you still want to get it done there, you buffet, you know?
Get
Yeah.
rid of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So what advice would you give someone wanting to get into the business?
What advice would I give? Take it slow. I
Yeah.
think is one of the biggest things with me. That I found I tried to rush into a lot of things
Yeah.
when it came to like just wanting to do all the best piercings and all the best this and that.
Yeah.
I think with confidence comes practice
Yeah.
and taking things steady, not just trying to jump out and do the craziest piercings in the world straight away and appealing to every single person.
Yeah.
I think starting off slow with basic piercings and getting your head wrapped around people's anatomies and different people and starting off with those is really beneficial. I
Yeah.
sort of did that with my piercing career later on. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Sort of took a step back and
Yeah.
started just pushing a little bit more of the basic piercings,
Yeah.
and then starting to get a bit more confidence with other piercings.
Yeah.
Not that there was too many that's like too difficult, which is too far out. Like I haven't done any of the sort of more hectic piercings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
You
think
don't
just
need
starting
to,
off small.
you know, that's the
No,
thing. You
no,
don't need to. And I think if you stick with the basics all around and just do your own spin on it, and that's the thing. And I think being a piercer, being working in this industry, like personal service industry, I think the biggest thing is you need to be a really good communicator, isn't it? Like
definitely
you probably meet a lot of young guys and you can't get two words out of them. They just want this.
no.
You try to talk and it's like they're like conversation killers. They don't say anything, you know?
They don't. No, they don't. It is honestly very, very hard to get a conversation out of some people.
Yeah.
And you're throwing everything at them, and you're not getting anything.
You know what you got to do is what in front of them, you got to text them. And they'll answer
Just
you.
as soon as they
Yeah,
walk in, can I have your number, please, mate?
yeah.
They go, okay,
Yeah.
sure, no worries.
That's the only way they communicate, half these young buggers, you know?
It is, yeah, it is, and it is such a problem, isn't it? I even find myself these days staring at my phone too much. Me and my partner have only just talked about like really limiting the screen time,
Yeah,
especially around the kids. You know, like I want to be present with them and
yeah.
show that that's not what life is about, just staring at a phone screen.
Oh my God. The other
Yeah,
day, I said, Rachel and I say exactly the same thing. And the other day we're sitting there. I'm on my phone, Lola's on her iPad, Charlie's on his iPad, Rachel's on her phone. We just sit there like crazy zombies for that 1 minute, you know?
it's the way that it is,
Oh my
man. Like
gosh.
it's just the way the world's going. Like and the entertainment. I think just as a parent, sometimes when you're a bit run down,
Yeah,
sometimes you can just go, here, have this for a seckie. I'm just going to
yeah,
take a bit of a mental breather. And
yeah.
yeah, I think it's okay for a certain amount of time. Like I don't think it's like a super super bad thing, but
Yeah.
definitely limit it. You know,
Oh
like
yeah,
we've got to
man.
try and limit it a bit better for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh no, no, 100%. I know it's
TikTok,
like it's such
TikTok.
an easy way out, you know, sometimes.
Yeah, I was late to the TikTok trial. I didn't get TikTok until about a year ago. I deleted all my social medias
Yeah.
years and years ago, and then I kept sending all my friends YouTube reels, and they were like, "Come on, mate, grow up.
Right.
It's time to get TikTok."
Oh my God, you get on TikTok, it's like never ending. It's like, oh my God. But if you know,
It
you're like,
doesn't end.
where did half an hour just go? You know?
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
100%.
You know?
100%. It's a time killer. I always
Uh,
watch yours. You got the best TikToks, man. You are
thanks, man.
so inspiring. If I feel like I need a bit of motivation for the day, I just jump on, look at
Thanks,
Rich, and
man.
see what he's doing.
And it's funny, I think you do like I think like I know being like an older dad, you know, with Lola, I sometimes look at myself when I was younger, and when you're younger back then, different generation of parents, you know, your parents really all they'd say to you is, you know, be here, do this, eat this, go here. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
there's nothing you never get anything from them really.
No,
And
not
now we can
really.
spend really talk to them. We can talk to our kids, communicate well with them. We could tell them about, you know, motivate them, talk, you know, it's get them in a different mindset on being a bit more
Definitely.
positive. And obviously, social media and what they see online on TV is a hindrance at times, but we're really lucky that we can communicate a lot better to this generation of kids as parents now in this day and
A
age.
hundred
Right?
percent. Definitely.
So
Definitely.
our childhood was very different, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I always see like you ever see those nostalgic TikToks that pop up and you see things from when you were just like a kid or like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
between
the
like 5 and
music or
10 years
something.
think,
Yeah, yeah,
I can't believe this is 10 years ago that this stuff was here. Like and some of the technology to see where it is now in such a short amount of time is insane. Like it
yeah,
blows my mind
yeah.
sometimes.
Oh,
Oh,
100%. It's crazy. Like you think
crazy.
about like AI now, like AI is taken over so much, like now people's businesses where like give you an example, you can connect AI to your Insta, so you don't have to reply to anyone anymore. So what it does, you put all your information about your business, primitive body piercing, everything you know about it into it. It'll
Yep.
absorb all that and know everything about your business. So when clients send you a message, it replies like your business. You don't have to reply
Yeah, I
to it
know.
anymore. Isn't it
It's
crazy?
wild. Wild.
So yeah, you wouldn't even have to do anything these days, you know?
That's
It's just yeah, it's taking over everything, you know. So
yep.
yeah, man, our kids, like especially how quick they are on iPads and be able to do things at such a young age.
Oh,
Imagine them,
wild,
you
man.
know, me back in my Commodore 64 back.
Yeah. Man, I am so bad with technology, and like I'm 28, and so like I thought I'd keep up with it for sure growing
Yeah,
up. Ever since I did delete social media and I haven't
yeah,
gone on to need computers or anything like that for a while, I
yeah,
can't do anything on them, and it's like scary. I've got to try and my partner, she's amazing. She knows how to do everything. Like she is incredible when it comes to marketing,
yeah,
knowing what to do with social media. Is like she is fantastic, and so I'm
yeah,
so
yeah.
blessed to have her and let her do all that sort of stuff for
Yeah,
me. Like,
awesome. And I'll even send you some links to some really cool free courses that you can do that are awesome
please
and that
do.
can really excel just your learning level. Because I'm always learning new stuff every day. I'm watching something or learning something because it's just evolving so quick. So you
Yep,
might learn something today and go, oh, yeah, I did that, mate. In 2 weeks' time, that thing's changed.
yep,
So,
100%. And yeah, and it is like that, isn't it? Like in 2 weeks, something's different.
yeah,
Something's completely different. Yeah, no, it's wild. Yeah, I do need to get into it a little bit more and have a little bit more to do with like the marketing side of
yeah.
social media. Because she's only just started her own business after being a mum for 5 years.
Oh,
She's
awesome.
just
What's she
started.
doing?
She's a lash tech, actually. She's
Oh,
just
yeah,
started being a
awesome.
lash tech. Yeah,
Yeah,
just for something for her to do. She's always wanted to do it, and she's been keen to get back out in the workforce.
yeah,
But she wanted to sort of have the same freedom with the children
yeah,
when it comes to being able to look after them. We want to go
yeah.
on holidays. We can go on holidays and just spend a lot of time with them. So she wanted to do her own thing, and she's done amazing with it. She's come
Oh,
really
awesome.
far in a short amount of time. So
And from lash tech, mate, you can get into cosmetic tattooing after that.
there you go.
Yeah, it's awesome because that's just
That's
such a
exactly right.
growing industry as well.
It
And
is.
we can help her out with that course as well. So,
Yeah, that's right. You can. Yeah, you can.
so have you had any like memorable experiences through or stories, funny little classic stories in the business?
Jeez, heaps.
Yeah, what's your funniest?
All my memorable, like my really memorable one are just people bloody fainting. I know it's so bad. Isn't that so horrible to say? But like I've had some shockers on me in the past.
Yeah,
Um, funny ones. Look, the funniest one, the one that comes to my mind is like I had a young lady come in one day and I'd known her for a while. And
yeah,
I could see her lurking around the shop, like walking back and forth, and she looked like she was on the phone. I was like, oh, I
yeah.
wonder what she's doing. Took her ages to come in, like it was like half an hour, and she popped her head in, seen how it's going, and she's like,
Yeah,
I'm actually here for a piercing. I was like,
yeah,
oh, why didn't you say so? Let's go do it. And she's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, I'm just, I'm a little bit nervous. And she was so scared. Like I'd never done a piercing on her before, and she was terrified. I had to trick her into walking up the stairs. Basically,
oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
I got stairs at my shop, and so
Yeah,
like for about 45 minutes, we're just doing like little baby steps towards the piercing room, like
oh
tiny little
my
baby steps.
God.
And so like picking jewelry, and I was like, look, just sit down. We'll just put some dots on, and we won't do it at all.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
worry
yeah,
about it. Like I'm not making you want to do it, and just ended up doing step by step by
yeah,
step because
yeah,
I could
yeah.
tell that she really wanted it, and
Hacking
she'd
it.
been talking about doing it for ages, and she'd
Yeah,
finally taken the steps to come down to my shop and talk to me about it.
yeah,
And yeah, forever we just like were trying to get this piercing done, and she just having to take tiny little steps to get her to lay down, get the piercings done. Yeah, so that was pretty funny. That was pretty
yeah.
funny
No,
having to
it's
do that.
awesome.
But nothing stands out as crazy funny forever. I guess the business has just been building so much over
That's
these
it.
last few years. That's all I've been concentrating on. Yep, yeah, the fainters, man, the
The
fainters
fainters,
are
mate. I think
they're
the biggest thing with
wild.
fainters just keep on getting them to breathe, big deep, because
Yeah,
if they just stop breathing, that's the biggest issue. They stop breathing,
yep.
lack of oxygen, and they faint. I try to kind
You,
of get them to a meditation type process from the beginning. They walk in the door till they walk out. Getting that oxygen,
definitely.
nice deep breaths. But doesn't matter what you do, they've built it up so hard, so much that when it comes to down to do it, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's done. And then they end up fainting.
That must be what it is. That big adrenaline drop, because that's when it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
I've never ever done a piercing on my 9 years of body piercing where I've someone's fainted before getting a piercing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's always directly after, and you can see that they've just hyped themselves up, and then they're like, "Oh, that wasn't that bad," and then
Yeah,
it's
then they
gone.
got it. And that's what it is. Because if I tell you, I say, all right, Jack, I'm going to book you in next Tuesday. We're going to be doing a dermal on you. You'll be like thinking about that every day, every minute. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting that next week. And then when it
I
comes to
would
the
be.
day, when it comes to the day, you're like, oh my God, it's finally done. All that is just rushing to you and
Yeah.
head, and it's like, oh my God, that instant relief that it's done is actually like it's just like you feel like like you're floating on air. You just can't handle it anymore. You end up fainting most of the time.
100%. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. See, the thing with me now that I've gotten into business, like I'm very similar to yourself. We try and get them into like a bit of a meditative state, so they're
Yeah,
not really stressed out. I like people to be have a little bit of adrenaline running through them just to sort of manage their pain a bit more with certain piercings. I think,
yeah,
like, I feel like it helps out and
yeah,
not
yeah,
being
yeah,
completely like, oh, this isn't going to hurt at all. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
letting them
yeah.
know that there's going to be a bit of a
There's gonna
sting,
be a
but
little
it's
bit
going to
of
be
yeah,
it's completely manageable, completely bearable. It'll be over in 2 seconds. Like you'll
yeah,
be fine.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, still, yeah, trying to get them just to breathe and relax, and I think that's really, really good. The ones that watch now,
yeah.
they are the ones that fainted most
Oh
on me.
yeah, yeah,
I don't let anyone in my piercing room these days. Like no
yeah,
one, there's not many people very keen on it,
yeah,
but I find it more comfortable, and I can sort of pay more attention to me and my client and the
yeah,
piercing rather than
yeah,
having to start a conversation with someone else or having to worry about another person
yeah,
working the client up as much.
yeah.
And also like the consent forms for my client, it's not for anyone else. And if they, end up falling over and really hurting themselves when they
Well,
faint,
that's it. And
you're in
insurance won't
trouble.
cover it if someone else is in there. So I always tell them, look, my policy is I'm not allowed to have anyone else in here because of insurance reasons. And then it's fine, unless it's like a
Yep.
mum or a dad that want to come in,
Yeah, that's my exception.
and
People
they're the
signing
only
for a minor.
times. Yeah. And they're the
Yeah, people
worst.
signing
Oh
for a
my
minor.
God, they're the worst, mate.
Oh, they can be. They really can be. Yeah, is that
Yeah.
meant to be doing that? Is that meant to be doing that? It's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, just let me do my job,
I
please.
know
You're
they
stressing them out.
Oh, that's great. So what do you feel like find the most rewarding in running a business like that? Like this. There must
I
be times where is there been a time where you're like, oh my gosh, sometimes I feel like getting a job. Do you ever feel like that?
Twice a week. No, no, I don't. Like, no. There's not. I love my job. I love the freedom that body piercing gives me in
Yeah.
life in general, where it comes to wear what I can want to wear and do what I want to do, say what I want to do. I say what I want to say. And I also get a lot of I don't know. I get a lot of happiness out of in body piercing. I find a lot of people, teenagers especially, struggle with self image coming into
Yeah.
my shop. Like really, really struggle with self image. And
Yeah.
something that gives me that really rewarding feeling is seeing them so happy with their new piercing
Yeah.
and seeing themselves in the mirror with just a little piece of metal makes
Yeah.
them so much happier, and they
Yeah.
get that little glimmer of loving themselves again, or
Yeah.
liking what they look at in the mirror. I feel like that's a really rewarding thing for me in this business or in this industry. Yeah,
100%.
that's yeah, I reckon that's a big part of why I still do it today.
And doesn't matter what age, whatever it is, just that little thing they get, it just gives them that little bit of confidence and it puts a smile on their face and you can see how excited they are when they walk out the door. You think, oh, that's special. That's awesome. You know what I mean? You
Definitely, a
really put
hundred
it,
percent.
and I actually love that. I think it is. I really love making people feel happy and content with
Yeah,
the outcome. Is really important to me. And if something I'm ever wasn't happy with, even the slightest, it was like a tiniest little crooked, I'd tell them, so listen, I'm not happy with that, mate. I'm taking it out. You're coming back in a couple
definitely,
of weeks, and I'm doing it again for free this time.
for free. Yeah,
you know?
and people will respect that as well.
Yeah,
Like that's a big thing that I've found. People will respect that.
yeah,
I've also done the same thing. Like, mate, I'm not happy with that. I'm so
yeah,
sorry. I would really love to take that out and do it again if you'd
yeah,
let me,
yeah,
free of charge, and then I'll give them another piercing on top for free if they
yeah,
want to come
that's
back to
it.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's very rewarding, this job in its own ways, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Is there looking back now, is there anything different that you would do in running the business or any changes you do?
Oh, look, probably a few. I was pretty immature when I started my business. I was only a kid, I'd only just turned into an adult. I was only 19. So
Yeah,
like I was just partying and sort of a little bit carefree about the business itself.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, I can't really kick myself for that too much because it's all a learning process, I guess. But I
So what,
definitely
what was
would
the
have.
switch? When was that change in you in the business?
My change in me is when my partner fell pregnant with my first
Okay.
my first daughter. I thought,
It was
okay, this
like,
is going
oh
to be
my
our
God,
livelihood,
reality
and this
check
is what's
now.
going to be. Yeah, this is what's going to support my family, hopefully
Yeah,
forever. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? So I'm like, let's start getting this place. Let's start getting this place up and going
yeah,
properly. And a huge credit to my partner. She's a huge part of it. She really took over all my social medias, all my
yeah,
handling of money, everything, and
yeah,
really helped me
yeah,
just get the business up and running the way that it is. I'm the face,
Yeah.
She does so much of the
All the
behind the
back
scenes
end.
work. She's amazing. She
Yeah.
honestly is. I
Yeah,
just show up
that's
and
awesome.
pierce
And that
people.
is really hard. Like and that's the thing. A lot of people do everything on their own,
Mm.
and then find it really hard to juggle both. So having your partner to be able to help you, support you on that side is awesome. It's really, it's fantastic, because you
And
really
she's
need that
and
at times.
You do, and she's such a she really drives me to be a better person just in
Yeah,
general. She's great, and even watching her with her business, like the amount of effort and work she puts into her social medias, I'm like, geez, I'm gonna have to pick my game up here a
yeah,
little bit because she's started her own thing, so I've sort of started to take over slowly the social media side of
yeah,
things. Not so much the posting. I've still got to get to that. Like she's
yeah,
done so well and spells everything correctly. I was terrible when my friends knew, or that some of the tattooists knew that someone else had taken over, and they said, "Oh, we knew everything was spelled correctly, so we knew someone else was doing it." So I was like, "Yeah, I definitely should get some lessons on how to do that properly for
yeah.
sure."
You know what's a good? There's a thing called Grammarly. So it's like, so it picks up any spelling errors, even your sentences or reorder. It's a really good little thing that you can just add on to Word docs, and it'll change
Yeah,
everything.
I'll
So
definitely get. I think I'm a little bit better these days. Hopefully, it was a long time ago she took over, but hopefully I
no,
can get into it.
no, that's awesome, man. So when you're not piercing and not in the industry doing it, what are you doing? What makes you happy?
I love a martial art called Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. It's my
Yeah,
favorite. I've
yeah,
got such a passion for it. I didn't start it until I was a little bit older. I'd sort
yeah,
of done it a fair few times from when I was a teenager. I sort of jumped into classes randomly. Um, Always kickboxed and boxed,
yeah,
but I had an injury. I dislocated my shoulder when I was about 23, and
yeah,
did a really good job on it too, just kickboxing.
yeah,
Um, it had such an impact on me working.
yeah,
It sort of opened my eyes a little bit to like, hey, are you going to do this as a career or is this a hobby?
yeah,
Because especially with punching your hands and breaking your knuckles, and it's so easy to have injuries like that when it comes to striking.
yeah,
And so I gave up on that, which sucked because I really loved it. It was something
yeah,
that I was
yeah,
passionate about. Um, and so I stopped for a long time and ended up picking up Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which is a lot of people think would be sort of relatively the same
yeah,
because there's a lot of like it's a submission grappling, and so
yeah,
there's a lot of hyperextending of joints and stuff like that. But it's a lot more manageable when it comes to injuries, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah,
After I've just hurt my rib, of course,
yeah, yeah,
but that's as long as I'm not hurting my eyes and my hands, I'll hurt
yeah,
anything else, man. It
yeah.
doesn't bother me.
Listen, and no
And I
bloody
think
people's butt cracks on my face when you get me down.
it
Like,
is. It turns people off a little bit. My coach who I do it with, he's such an extraordinary man. Like he's such a good bloke. I've known him for years and years and years. And
yeah,
half the reason even just going to jiu-jitsu is just to hear him talk about things and hear
yeah,
his, philosophies on jiu-jitsu.
yeah.
And so like because it's a really incredible martial art. I'm not too sure if you've ever had anything much to like know
No,
too
man.
much about it,
Let-
but it's so in depth.
I'll tell you my experience. There was a guy named, I think his name is Anthony Perosh. He did,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, he does. He runs a little studio not far from where I used to live. So I said to my brother, and my brother said, "Oh, let's go do a couple of lessons. Just more for fitness than anything else." Now I don't do anything. My brother like boxes 3 times a week. He does jiu-jitsu in the last couple of years, and so he's 8 years younger than me. So we went into this is like I'm not joking about 20 years ago. So we did this. We were in this class,
Yeah.
and you had like people in front of us, and then we all lined up. So 2 different lines, and then you kind of have to like punch each other, and then you move on to the next person, and you kind of spar like a little for like a minute. And I had this little kid, and I said, "Listen, mate, don't keep on hitting me in the face. I got bloody piercing here." And he's like,
Yep.
"Keep on hitting me in the face." So I was like, "Oh, my little cheeky little bugger." And then he came along to my brother. He came to my brother. My brother like knocked him out. He was like,
Oh no.
he's doing the same thing with him, just really little smarty pants, But it was so funny. It was just like so hardcore. Like even like half an hour, I was like knackered, man. Oh my God. I was absolutely
It,
took the so much energy out of you, and even
it does.
yeah, he said the first time we did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he said, "Oh my God, the energy it takes, even grabbing someone, holding him down, it's
So
unbelievable."
exhausting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
so exhausting.
exhausting. But
Anthony Perosh is an ex-UFC fighter, man. He is fantastic.
I know, and he honestly one of the nicest guys. Him and there was another guy who had partners at the time. His name was Elvis, and they both did
Man,
UFC back in the day.
Elvis, what's his last name starts with S. It's
Yeah,
so funny you
Sinisic.
say that
Yeah,
because the man that owned my business
yeah,
before me
yeah.
used to be in the corner of Anthony Perosh.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was
How
that
funny
full
is that?
circle. How funny is that? Yeah, no, he
Yeah,
used to be a cornerman for him. Still is friends with him. I only talked to him the other day, and they went to a metal concert together. So
yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
he's still friends with him. He's a great fighter,
He's a really,
Anthony.
really,
Yeah,
really nice guy, and just love his values, and yeah, really good gym. But I remember Elvis. I think he got knocked out once pretty badly back in the day.
yeah. I think both of them did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but
it's not a very forgiving sport, man.
oh my
Mixed
gosh.
martial arts, like you either make it or you don't. If you don't, it's a pretty hard fall from grace. You
Oh,
put so much of your time and effort into it, and
yeah,
I think that's why I gave up kickboxing because, especially because having a little family and the business was going really well at the time.
yeah,
I thought, am I going to put everything into this and risk not coming through on the other end with it? I'm getting a little bit older. I
yeah,
haven't done it for as long as other people have, and I'm not as committed to it as other
yeah,
people have. So but I've had a lot of good feedback with
yeah,
Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Like I've only just got my blue belt, which is like one up from white, which was an
yeah, yeah,
awesome achievement for me. That was
yeah,
one of my goals that I'd set for myself
yeah.
after
Well
I
done.
got back into it. And I got that relatively quick, and I've had some
Yeah,
good feedback from it. So I would love to compete in that
yeah,
eventually, if my body lets me, just
yeah,
like hurting myself all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
But
Make
yeah,
sure you get
it's
income protection then, mate.
oh, that's right. You did tell me that, didn't
Make
I? I
sure
looked that
you
up
do
as well.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
100%.
remember, you are the sole earner of the business. When you're
Yeah,
down and out, it really it takes a big toll on the income, coming through. So
definitely.
it's
Yeah.
really important to have that income protection, just for yourself if something goes wrong.
For sure. Before I get back into it properly, I will for sure. Or
Yeah.
I'll wait till Bell's working full time and I might just sit at home if I hurt
Yeah, that's
myself.
it. So
But
listen, go make some money, mate. Make some
yeah, that's
money.
right.
Get those lashes happening.
That's
Awesome.
right. That's right. I'd love that. I'd be the best stay-at-home dad. I always tell her that. I'd be like, everything would
Yeah,
be clean all the time. I'd have food on the table. Oh, I'd have a ball.
I know, mate. I know. I'm like a bloody anal freak when it comes to cleanliness. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Especially germs cleanliness. Holy, I
yeah,
mean, kids. You
yeah.
clean your house with your kids, and half an hour later, it's
Oh my God, it's like
atrocious
a
again.
bomb, mate. Bomb's bloody gone off. Oh,
Oh,
Charlie, mate, his toys and his trucks and his Matchbox cars, they're like
yeah.
everywhere. And then, if you walk around bare feet at night and you step on a Matchbox car, it's the worst, mate.
Oh, don't even get me started. Or they're sleeping and you kick one of their toys into the
Yeah,
wall that
yeah.
makes all sorts of noises, and
Yeah, it's
everyone
one of
wakes
those
up and you're like,
noises.
oh, oh, they're always
Oh my
making noises.
God.
And they break in the toy box and they don't stop making noises
I
ever.
know.
Oh, it's a shocker. That's a shocker.
So what's your next with the business? Do you want to expand, open another one day, or are you just happy the way things are in Wagga? What?
No, for sure, for sure. That
Yeah,
is definitely a long term goal for me is to
yeah,
franchise out and branch out.
yeah,
Not to the extreme where I'm gonna lose quality of piercings.
yeah,
Maybe like one or two more stores maximum.
yeah, yeah,
Get a really
excellent.
good relationship with my body piercers, not hire too many of them. Probably
Yeah,
stay. I'm never going to try and branch out and go out of my way to go into big cities.
yeah,
I can't ever say never,
yeah,
but I always want to maybe just go into places maybe the size of Wagga Wagga. And
yeah,
so I've got a good clientele, but I
yeah,
can also not let my body piercers get so intensely run off their feet look, it's the one biggest thing for me is the quality of the product. I think
yeah,
would be the biggest stress on my head.
yeah,
Having to build up a business from not necessarily nothing, especially with it being there for a long time. It did have a decent reputation, but
yeah,
building up to what I made it
yeah.
and then having to put that in the hands of someone else stresses me out
Oh,
more
it's
than
hard,
anything.
mate. 100%. And I think for you, you'd probably want to hire eventually an apprentice that's probably going to be with you for 6 months to a year,
That's right,
to even them running another business for you. And it's probably the
for
only way to
sure,
go because you can't be on the tools forever. You're still young, so you've got heaps of time on your hands. But at a time, you're like, you know what? It'll be great to have a couple of days off and have someone else there. And the only
for
way to do
sure,
it is unfortunately by having staff.
definitely, yeah, yeah,
And there's a lot of
yeah.
pros to cons to that as well. But it's a good way to be able to be with your family, go on a holiday, not stress about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of these big companies and franchises, some of them have a trainer with these fresh body piercers for a month, 6 weeks,
Yeah.
and that's it,
Oh
man.
man, it's
6 weeks.
shocking. Yeah.
Me as a body piercer, 6 weeks. Are you
Yeah.
kidding? I was stressing out for a year when I was
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
piercings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm the same as anyone else. I think maybe as well, having my reputation on the line with it being my business is why I
Yeah.
was so stressed out a long time being a body piercer. I think it
Yeah.
wasn't just, I would just second guess everything that I did, even though I had the best training from you guys.
Yeah.
And I also had the body piercers that I was with who was training me that owned the business. I
Yeah.
would still, I think it's just a human being thing,
It's
just
just the
worrying
name
about that sort of stuff.
because it's your name. They think of the brand is connected to your name. You know,
Definitely.
that's the biggest thing. It's not like any other brand. That's the very difference because you'd really, it's not like an employee. You know, this is yours. This is your baby. You take full
Mm.
ownership of it. So it does put that
Yep.
added pressure onto you to do really well, you know, which is
Yeah,
sometimes exhausting and hard at the same time, but
it
you just
really
do
is.
it,
Yeah.
you know. No, that's
Yep.
awesome. And I think it's a really good way to scale, like over time, not right now, over time, and being in another country, a couple other country towns where you can literally jump in a car and drive a couple of hours and you're there, or you know what
That's
I mean?
right.
I think that would
Yep.
be really good. So, because I find, I know a lot of the people that we've trained over the years that are in country towns, they're still there. 10, 15,
Yeah.
20 years later, they're still there running their business, which is awesome
Yep.
because
Yep.
it's
For sure.
like yourself, you can build a really good loyal clientele. You really fit in really well with the community and you kind of grow with the community. Young kids come and go, but there's always another generation of young kids coming in to, you know, into your business.
Definitely. No,
You know?
100%. Yeah, definitely. And I love that because some
Yeah,
people, they always ask, like in Wagga, like, don't you run out of people to pierce? It's like, mate, there's someone turning, you know, 13, 16, 18 every year. So like
that's it.
those sort of bigger times where people get piercings,
Yeah.
definitely.
And you get the more mature people coming in, you know, they just go through
All
a bit of
all
a,
the time.
going through like some kind of midlife and want to get a tat and get a piercing and they just want
Mate,
to sort of image change, you know?
I had a couple come into me one day and I was like, that is what I hope I'm like at that age.
Yeah.
68 years old, and they both came in and got matching piercings together.
Oh,
It
that's
was great.
awesome. Yeah,
I
that's
loved it. I was like, you got, and they were laughing at each other and giggling and giving shit to each. Oh, sorry, I
yeah,
swore,
yeah,
but
that's all
you know,
right.
giving it to each other a little bit. And I thought it was just the funniest thing and just so wholesome. I was like, that's the
Yeah,
best.
that's so
Having
cool.
so much fun with it.
And that's the thing. I think it is it's really cool when you get these kind of characters coming in a bit older and they just spur of the moment or there's something they just want to do. You know what? I'm going against the grain. I'm just going to do this. I don't care what anyone
Yeah.
says. It's really
Yep.
cool. And I think that's what my wife thinks I'm going to like sometime midlife now. Because I've because I'm always like, you know what? Let's just do it. Who cares? Don't worry about what people think. You know, we're always
Yeah.
worried over the years,
Oh,
worry about what people think. Who cares about anyone? You know, just
honestly, yeah.
yeah. And as you get
And
older, you do. It's like I think I'm becoming a grumpy old man at the same time as well.
I couldn't see you becoming a grumpy old man, mate. You're so
Uh,
full of positivity. It's great. It's fantastic.
no, that's awesome, man. So what final advice would you give any aspiring body piercers?
Um, any final advice? I reckon. I mean, what I went off before, like taking it slow, but also just enjoying your time being a body piercer and learning things. Like it's such a cool job. Like it
Yeah,
really is.
yeah,
Get to know your clients. Get to know what they like. Work with them and
yeah,
try and figure out different piercings for them. And don't be too hard on yourself if things do not go always to plan because you can really lose a lot of confidence and it
yeah,
really hits you hard when maybe something doesn't go right with a piercing or you misjudge a piercing or misjudge sizing a jewelry or anything like that. Like everybody's human.
yeah,
It's obviously up to us and people put their responsibility in us to not mess up,
yeah,
but you're still only human. If something does happen like that with people who are starting off body
yeah,
piercing, be easy on yourself. It happens.
yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest advice I can give,
Yeah,
I
no,
guess.
awesome, man. And no, I really appreciate it, man. So any of the listeners on here, if they want to connect with you, how can they, what's your Instagram details?
So it's modern primitive body piercing, just on Instagram, just
That's
all
it?
one word.
Okay,
Say
awesome.
on Instagram is Facebook is just modern primitive as well, and I think I want to start doing a TikTok. You as
Hey,
well as my partner have inspired me to start talking on
yeah,
film.
sweet.
I'm so bad with
Yeah.
talking on a phone. Like I just can't take myself seriously.
I know.
But
I'm the
I
same.
have to get over that because it's probably only my own insecurities, but like it's really really helpful. And whenever I listen to you talking on there, I'm like, mate, he's killing it. I've got to try and
Uh,
do something like that because it's
Thank
such
you.
a good way of interacting with clients and talking to clients and sort of getting to know them, even though you're not face to face with them. Seeing someone talking, just
Yeah.
talking, you sort of become closer with them a little bit. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
And it is, look, it's really weird. Like, I think I sometimes will be sitting in the room on my own and I think, oh, because I really want to tell people this. And sometimes getting it out there can be quite hard. Even though I'm not joking, I recorded stuff that I haven't even put out there yet. And because I feel really self-conscious about it. It's really weird because there's
Yep,
certain things that are so personal that, but as guys, we feel these certain things sometimes, and you're like, you know what? I just want to share that to help someone else that's in this going through the same thing. So,
that's amazing.
so I think it's yeah, it is Bella to talk on it. It helps me with my insecurities, but on the other side of the coin, it actually helps me by getting it out there. You know, me talking about
Yeah,
it. You know,
yep,
so
yep,
and then as a business like TikTok, I think is such a awesome tool because you could hold a video, introduce yourself, hey, another day in work, and you could come in with your camera, and people can see your studio, they can see you, they get to know you straight away without
yeah,
before they even come out and meet you. And then when they come and meet
yep,
you, like, hey, it's the same dude, so they get excited. And that's what's cool
yep,
where Insta and a lot of the other things, you can put cool stuff up. It's more of like a gallery of stuff. But I think TikTok is a really good way and Reels to people get to know you more, and I think that's it.
definitely.
And they feel comfortable.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see it working for yourself and
Yeah,
other people and other body piercers. So I
yeah,
I would, and even like videoing piercing.
yeah.
Sometimes I don't know how people would feel about that on social media, but sometimes I see some videos on Instagram and TikTok, and their piercings,
Oh my God.
or the way they're doing them is atrocious. And I
Oh my,
think
it's so embarrassing.
this is
Yeah,
what they're getting their idea of piercings
yeah,
of. Like I
yeah,
don't let anyone film in my studio, like
yeah. Good
film
idea.
me.
Yeah,
And it's not for any other reason except for I just look at it as like a little bit, and this is just a personal belief, it might not be right, but unprofessional sort of getting friends and stuff giggling and videoing you. Like
yeah,
if I'm gonna video something, I'm gonna get it of myself just doing
yeah,
the piercing,
yeah,
and then that's it. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Just
It's
so that they can see that.
We'll rock and roll. Well, thank you so
All
much,
right,
Jack. I really appreciate you coming on board, man.
mate,
And
I appreciate you having me.
I think we'll do it again. We'll have like episode 2, later
Mate,
in the
I could I
year.
could I could talk to you for bloody hours, so
Yeah,
lucky you
a
cut me off
legend,
because I
man.
wouldn't stop.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, mate. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time as always. Uh,
No worries, mate. Thank you so much as well.